y'all doing tonight? Okay. That was 50%. How are you guys doing tonight? Awesome. If you're in the room, good evening, welcome. If you're online, we're so glad that you're hanging out with us tonight. Guys, I have spent some of the week, and Alex has spent his entire week getting the putt-putt course ready for you guys next week. Are you guys excited for that event? Okay, I'm not even lying. I have been through the course like probably 4 or 5 times. It is incredible. Challenges, games, prizes. But here, you guys need to be practicing your putting skills this week. So, you use a baseball bat, a hockey stick, whatever you got to use to practice and get ready. Because the team that wins, I know, has some pretty epic prizes. So hey, if who's registered for this event? Who's signed up online? Okay, hey, if you have not signed up online, do that tonight. Do that tonight because your parent has to fill out some forms for you to make sure that you guys can enjoy that event. So you guys are not going to want to miss it next week. But here's the thing. Everybody ready? Here's the thing. Next week, you guys are meeting at the kids' campus. Where are you meeting? Where are you meeting? Where are you meeting? Okay, so you'll go there right at the beginning of the night to the kids' campus across the street, and you'll be picked up in the kids' campus across the street. So just make sure to let your parents know that. If you have any questions, hit us up. It is going to be an incredible, the Great Pumpkin Open Putt-Putt event. So bring your best putt-putt game next week. Would you guys stand up as we worship tonight?
How's it going, guys? We're going to sing a song tonight. I don't know if we've done this one here, but the name of the song is Sea of Victory. And it talks about the idea that even though we know that the enemy's trying to form weapons against us and to form plans against us and to try to make us stumble and fall, that we know that ultimately the victory belongs to Jesus, right? So we have faith and hope in that tonight. So we're going to sing this song together. The weapon may be formed, but it won't prosper. When the darkness falls, it won't prevail. 'Cause the God I serve knows only how to triumph. My God will never fail. My God will never fail. Gonna see, and I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. Oh. There's power in the mighty name of Jesus. Every war he wages, he will win. And I'm not backing down from any giants, 'cause I know how this story ends. Amen. I know how this story ends. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory, yeah. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. Yes, you turn it for good. Believe that tonight, guys. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. Yes, you turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. Yes, you turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. Yes, you turn it for good. Oh, you take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. Yes, you turn it for good. Oh, you take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. Yes, you turn it for good. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory, yeah. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. Proclaim this with me. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. Yes, you turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. Yes, you turn it for good. Oh, yes, you do. And you turn it for good. Yes, you do, Lord. Amen. Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Sing Jesus. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are, and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. It's worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you, oh Jesus. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Sing this loud tonight, guys. I will build. I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation, and I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Holy, holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. And I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation, and I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. Just as I am, you welcome me. With open arms, how can this be? My guilt is undone, my past is untethered. I leave it behind and run to my Father. Sing this out with me. There is no disappointment in your eyes. There is no shame, there is only pride. I am loved, Father, I'm loved by you. So unreserved, your heart for me. My fear is gone, I am set free. There's nothing to hide, there's nothing to measure. I am your child, and that's all that matters. There is no disappointment in your eyes. There is no shame, there is only pride. I am loved, Father, I'm loved by you. Believe that tonight, you guys. There is no distance in your embrace. Over and over again you say, I am loved, Father, I'm loved by you. I am loved, Father, I'm loved by you. You are changing everything. You are changing everything. I believe it, I receive it. You are changing everything. You are changing everything. You are changing everything. I believe it, I receive it. You are changing everything. You are changing everything. You are changing everything. I believe it, I receive it. You are changing everything. I believe it, I receive it. You are changing everything. There is no shame, there is only pride. I am loved, Father, I'm loved by you. There is no distance in your embrace. Over and over again you say, I am loved, Father, I'm loved by you. Father, I'm loved by you. Sing that one more time. I'm loved. I am loved. Father, I'm loved by you. Amen. Praise God for that tonight, you guys. Great singing with y'all. You can be seated.
Guys, I am excited to be here with you tonight and to be hanging out with you guys. Junior hires, you guys just hold a special place in my heart. A couple reasons, like one, you guys don't realize that I'm not cool yet, and so you still love me. Or maybe you do. Maybe you realize it and you're just nice to me anyways. Anyway, yeah, maybe you guys are just nice. That's great. I love you guys. I don't know if you guys struggle with this, so like let me know if you do. Anybody struggle with getting a song stuck in their head? Ever? Yeah, okay. What about a song that you don't want in your head, stuck in your head, and it's stuck in your head all day and you can't get rid of it? Yes. Like I have, especially like there's so many catchy songs that you like dance to now and stuff. It's like, and then it's just there all day long. But there's a couple songs that tend to get stuck in my head more than others. And I don't know if you guys will know these, and maybe this will show that I'm getting older, but there's one song. It's really kind of a weird song because it was a song written for a miniature horse that passed away named Little Sebastian. I don't know, some of you guys know what I'm talking about. So it's like, like bye bye Little Sebastian. Anybody? Like, yeah, dude, it's like your 1,000 candles. It gets stuck in my head. It makes me feel sad because the poor miniature horse died. I don't think it did actually die. It was just a TV show. But like this is a song that just gets stuck in my head all the time, and it'll just be going, and you can't really sing along to it or tell your friends about it because it's just a little strange. But honestly, I just get a little teary-eyed when I listen to that song and think about how beautiful and majestic and cute Little Sebastian is. You guys know Little Sebastian? Some of you guys know? No, some of you guys do. Some of you guys, okay, back in the room. Great, my adults. There's another song though. Any Toy Story fans? You guys, okay, great, good. Okay, we can connect then. There's a few different songs that really get me, like Jesse's song. I don't know if you guys know that one when Jesse like gets lost under the bed, and it's just like, oh, it's just horrible. Like it just tears your heart up. But like You've Got a Friend in Me, right? You've got a friend. Like how do you just not love that song? But it also just makes me kind of emotional. Like Toy Story just gets me right in the feels. Anybody like connect with me there? No, three of us? Okay, great. You and me, Josie, we're good. But I think here's the thing that's really neat about music is I think it has the power and it has the ability to help us connect with things, with feelings, with emotions. Like, I don't know if you guys have a song that when it plays, you're like instantly get teary-eyed. Anybody? Okay, great. Do any of you guys like have songs that you listen to so you can get teary-eyed and like enjoy those emotions? Yes, all my ladies, the guys are like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I do not know. There's one song when my grandma passed away. I was actually in junior high when my grandma passed away from cancer, and a song called Rocket Man. And whenever that song comes out, it's not even a sad song. It's just a fun song, but it just brings me back to that memories. And I don't know about you guys. Do you have a song that you connect back to a memory, to a time, to a moment where you're like, yeah, you hear that song and it like, you can instantly be back in that place? I can totally relate to you guys in that as well. But I think that there's some times as we're feeling sad that maybe it's something silly, and then maybe it's something that matters. Like for me, I had a moment that I think of often. I don't remember a lot of being a little kid, like little, like 5 or under, but there is a moment that I remember so vividly, like I can picture it all in my head. We used to live in Florida because my dad was in the military, so we always lived near the ocean. And we would go out to the beach every day. My mom would take us out to the beach because we literally, our street ended into the beach that was the ocean, right? So kind of cool. Downside, my dad wasn't around a lot because he's, doing military stuff. But I loved collecting shells and all the things you can collect on a beach. Shark teeth, shells. There were like these little sea worms that I could pick up. It's kind of gross now that I think back to it. But I kept them all in a pail, and I remember this like distinct memory of being like 4 or 5, just a little cutie guy, and walking out to where I left my pail in the garage. And I remember going there because I was really excited to be able to play with all the things that I had collected. And I remember it being empty. And me just being so sad, like, where did this all go? And now that I'm older, I realize my mom threw it all away. That's like really heartbreaking. You're like, Mom, I worked so hard. And she's like, you do this every day. He's like, you do this every day, bud? Like, yeah, this is just something we do. You collect things and I toss them in the trash. Or, I don't know what she did with them. I've never asked her. I should probably talk to her about that, really what she did. I hope she just tossed them back. And maybe I just collected the same things every day. And I'm learning things tonight, guys. This is crazy. But I think sometimes when we're dealing with sadness, we can feel a little bit silly, because maybe you can relate to that. When I think about that now, I'm like, that really wasn't that big of a deal. But I felt so sad over it. And it was like, when your ice cream drops off your cone onto the floor. Or, your parent promised you that they'd get you a toy or a candy bar at Walmart, and then they didn't. And you felt so sad and upset about that. And I don't know about you, but I'm not always good with dealing with my sadness. I don't know if anybody else can relate to that, but sometimes when I get sad, I end up actually getting angry. Anybody? Can I get like some snaps if you feel like that's true for you? Sometimes when I feel sad, I actually get embarrassed about how I feel, and so I try to cover it up with maybe a little bit of sarcasm. Anybody feel that? Yeah, so sometimes I get just overwhelmed by my sadness and I don't know what to do with it. Like there's just feelings and thoughts that I have. And there's times where I feel sad and I ignore it. I go to things like sports or video games or hanging out with my friends so I don't have to think about the sadness in my life. Anybody else relate to that? Anybody give me some snaps if you do? Okay, great. Yeah, like I think that there's a lot of things that we can feel sad about, and some of them are silly like that. But I want to talk about a specific word tonight, the word lament. Has anybody ever heard this word before? Throw your arm up if you had. Lament. Anybody? Okay, just 1 or 2. Everybody say this word with me. Lament. 1, 2, 3. Lament. Like this word means like a deep grief or sorrow. Like, this is bigger than your pail of seashell collection being tossed into a trash can or back out into the ocean. Like, lament is about facing our sadness instead of ignoring it. Lament is about feeling our sadness instead of numbing it and turning to something else. Lament is working through our sadness instead of just getting over it. And I tell you guys this story that I'm about to tell you. Some of you have heard it before just because it's so personal to me. And it's maybe one of the best ways that I can describe to you what lament felt like to me. Is when my wife, Minda, she was pregnant and she lost the baby. And there just weren't words to describe the way that I was feeling. And maybe some of you guys can relate to that, where you're so hurt or upset and you just can't deal with it. That there was anger, and there was anger at the situation, and there was disappointment in the situation, and there was a frustration of why does stuff like this have to happen? And there were even bigger questions like, can I trust God? Can I trust that God is big enough to help me through this? Why would God let this happen? And maybe you've asked yourself that question before. And for Minda and I, it took some time to work through these things, and it was a time in our life where we really lamented, that we felt sorrow and grief and sadness and anger and asked hard questions and thought difficult thoughts. And I think sometimes, if you guys have ever really struggled, if you guys have ever really faced experience or hardship or stuff going on in your family or at school or relationships where you start feeling some of these thoughts of like, well, why isn't God here? Why isn't God showing up? Why do I have to feel this way? And maybe for you, your struggle, especially as a Christian, and maybe a lie that you believe is, well, if I'm a Christian, I shouldn't feel this way. That if you feel sadness or grief or frustration, that it means that you just don't have a good enough relationship with God. And that's not true. Or maybe you believe that following Jesus means that you can never be sad and you're only allowed to have feelings like love and joy and peace and hope, and that your life is always put together and perfect. But here's the thing, guys. When we look at the Bible, we see that that's not what we see. When we look at the Bible, we see a different story. That the Bible's actually filled with story after story of people struggling through their life and their faith and asking hard questions and going through difficult experiences. And people that responded with a range of emotions. And so for the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about music and worship, and how worship is not just music and singing, but how worship can be so much more. And we've been looking at the book of Psalms and all of these stories, this poetry and songs that point us to God, that are talking about real things. And maybe for you guys, even as we are singing songs, you might think that the only way to worship God is through saying positive things, is saying great things about God. And sometimes worship can look a little bit different. And so we're going to look through a few Psalms tonight, like we have been all throughout this series. So if you guys have a Bible app on your phone, you can open that up. If not, it's going to be on the screen. But we're going to start in Psalm chapter 55. And we're going to start in verses 1 through 8. And it says this: "Listen to my prayer, O God. Do not ignore my cry for help. Please listen and answer me, for I am overwhelmed by my troubles." Anybody relate to that? Being overwhelmed by their troubles. "My enemies shout at me, making loud and wicked threats. They bring trouble on me and angrily hunt me down. My heart pounds in my chest. The terror of death assaults me. Fear and trembling overwhelm me, and I can't stop shaking. Oh, that I had wings like a dove, that I would fly away and rest. If only I could be like a bird and just get away from this situation. I would fly far away to the quiet of the wilderness. How quickly I would escape far from this wild storm of hatred." I don't know about you, but I can relate to what this is saying, to what this guy who wrote this song and this poetry, like, I don't know about you. Anybody can relate to, I just don't want to deal with this and I want to get away? Anybody in the room? Yeah, I just don't want to deal with this anymore. Why do I have to deal with this? Why can't I just get out of this place that I'm in? And I think for this person, this author that wrote this, he didn't see any happy ending in sight. In fact, he's saying to God, I'm not okay with my situation. I'm not okay with the way that I'm feeling, the fact that I have to go through the things that I'm going through. And I think in the time and age that we live in, we've never been more connected. In fact, we can know about an earthquake that happens on the entire side of the world within seconds. We can know when catastrophes happen. We can know when bad things are happening to people. And I think sometimes just the tragedies of the world can kind of be overwhelming when we look around and we see the powerful taking advantage of the vulnerable, when we see bad things happening to good people, when physical and mental illness are affecting people that we love, when we see injustice and pain all over the world. This psalm is a lament for injustice. And I love this because it expresses honest feelings, how this person is really feeling. And I don't know, have you guys ever been able to talk to God about what you're struggling with? Have you guys been able to ever really tell God how you truly feel? But here's one of the things we can learn from this psalm is this: lament makes our worship honest. That when we're struggling, how we worship God can actually be honest. Because I don't know about you, there's been times where I've come in church and I've been singing songs and I'm not really sure that I agree with the words that I'm singing because of where I'm at in my life. But I'm struggling. And if I'm being really honest, I'm not really being honest with God. And so I love this first psalm in Psalm 55 because it helps us understand that our lament, that our struggle can actually make our worship to God honest. Here's the next thing we're going to read in Psalm 22. And this is a psalm that was written by David, verses 1 and 2. It says this: my God, why have you abandoned me? Why are you so far away when I groan for help? Every day I call to you, my God, but you do not answer. Every night I lift my voice, but I find no relief. Lament happens, guys, when we experience something so difficult that we start asking ourselves these questions. God, where are you? Why have you abandoned me? Why have you forgotten about me? Why won't you help me? Do you even hear what I'm saying to you? And I love that as David writes this, that David in the Bible is this king. And in fact, like, God loved him in a really special way. And I love that David, this guy that had this like really incredible connection with God, felt far away. Because there's been times in my life where I can relate to that, and maybe you can too. But here's something that's really cool. If we go to the next chapter over, in Psalm 23, we read another song written by David, and I think it's pretty interesting. In verses 1 through 4, it says this: the Lord is my shepherd, I have all that I need. There's nothing that I need. God's providing everything for me. He lets me rest in green meadows. He leads me beside peaceful streams. He renews my strength. He guides me along the right paths, bringing honor to his name. Even, listen to this, guys, listen to this. If you're not paying attention, listen to this. Even when I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid, for you are close beside me. Your rod and your staff protect and comfort me, even when I walk through the hardest, darkest time in my life. Even when I'm emotionally struggling, even when my family is falling apart, even as my parents are arguing and going through a divorce, even when bad things have been done to me, even when someone I love and care about is suffering. The darkest valley that you go through, God is there. And I love this. Like, when David feels alone, he says, God is with me, even when I don't feel him. When David felt forgotten, he says, God guides me. He guides me. He lets me rest in green meadows. He leads me beside peaceful streams. Like, I love nature. I love being out in nature. And I love the idea of God guiding you through a place that's peaceful. When David was in need, he learned to say that God gives me everything that I need. Maybe not everything you want in the moment, but God gives you everything you need. When David felt exhausted, he learned how to say, God makes me new. And guys, it's so easy. It's so simple to worship God when our life is going great. When our grades are good, when we're crushing the sport that we're in, when our family is just kind of at peace and not arguing with one another, when no one's sick, when there's not a pandemic going on. There are so many ways in which it's easy to worship God when life is going great. It can be really difficult to worship God when life is falling apart. When we're walking through that dark valley in our lives. And for some of you guys, maybe you're like, Nick, I don't really know what you're talking about because I've never been through a dark valley. Maybe some of you guys are in it right now. Where from the outside your life looks great, but you feel so alone and so scared in the place that you're in. Or maybe some of you guys are on the other side of it and you've seen God show up in incredible ways. But here's the thing. When we acknowledge, when we question, when we even protest, I don't want to be in the situation that I'm in, it doesn't mean that our faith is shallow. It doesn't mean that our relationship with God isn't good enough, and if you just had a better relationship, everything would be perfect. But here's what it can do. When we question it, when we challenge it, when we wrestle through the dark, hard times in our lives, that it can actually grow your faith. That it can actually change how you worship and interact with God. These Psalms that we're reading tonight teach us that worship doesn't just happen when everything's going great and life is perfect. These Psalms teach us that we can worship God even in the deepest valleys of fear and depression. Because here's the thing, here's what we can learn from these verses is that lament makes our worship deeper. That lament takes our worship from being something that could be shallow and deepens it. And here's the thing that something for me is exciting, is that yes, my wife and I lost a baby and that was really hard. And there's even sometimes still today that we lament that it still hurts and it doesn't feel great. But it's led us to a place where we can worship God more and we can put our arms around other people who are struggling, that before we lost our baby that we didn't know how to. We didn't know how people felt. We didn't know the experience that they were going through. We didn't understand because we hadn't been through it. And so I wonder what experience you're going through right now, or you will go through, or you have gone through, that God is using or can use to make your worship deeper and to come alongside someone else in the future. I want to read one last verse tonight, and it actually comes out of where we started in Psalm 55. And this is verse 22 and 23. The very end of Psalm 55, it says this: "Give your burdens to the Lord, and he will take care of you." Give your burdens to the Lord, and he will take care of you. He will not permit the godly to slip and fall. But you, O God, will send the wicked down to the pit of destruction. Murderers and liars will die young, but I am trusting you to save me. Sometimes, guys, trust is difficult. Sometimes it's hard to worship. But like David did, the guy that wrote these, we can trust that God knows our future better than we do. God knows our future even when it feels dark. Because here's the thing, here's another thing that we can learn from these verses tonight, is that lament makes us look for a hope we can't yet see. You guys hear this? Are you reading this? Lament makes us look for a hope that we can't see. Lament lets us look for the end of the tunnel when we can't yet see it. That when we're in our darkest place, that we look to the hope that God is for us in our lives. Even when we can't see it, feel it, experience it. Guys, this is just a small taste, and so I'd encourage you, if you're struggling, if you want to know more, open up the Psalms. It's an incredible, incredible group of the Bible that just helps us understand who God is and who we are and how we relate and to connect with him. But here's the entire point of tonight. Here's the takeaway for tonight that I really want you to take hold of, remember, think about. Sometimes life is painful. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it's dark and hard. But we can worship even when it's difficult. We can worship God even when maybe I didn't want to. We can worship when things are hard and a struggle and not fun. Maybe sometimes it looks like just sitting and crying in front of God. Maybe it's just being quiet. Maybe it's listening to a song and allowing God to just let that do a work in your life. But here's what I want to do tonight. I want us to take a little bit of time. I'm going to invite Jason, our worship pastor, to come up, and he's going to lead us in a little bit more worship. And what we're going to do is we are going to have some words on the screen. Some things to think about during this last song. So the words to the song aren't going to be on the screen, but the questions are going to rotate. Things like, what's something you're not okay with in your life? What are some things that you're struggling with in this world? What are some things that you're not okay with in the church or in your city or in school? What's something that breaks your heart? What's something that you've seen that you can't unsee and you wish you had never seen it in the first place? Or what is some pain that you've experienced that you can't unfeel? And I'd encourage you, as you're thinking about these questions, as you're reading these questions, I just want to encourage you to just listen to the song. How God might meet you where you're at. That you don't have to continue down just a cycle of hurt and brokenness where you can't connect with God, but that you guys can actually worship even when it's difficult.
You are here, and you're turning lives around. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, and you're mending every heart. I worship you, yeah, oh, I worship you. And you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Even when I can't see that you're working, even when I don't feel that you're working, you never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see that you're working, even when I don't feel that you're working, you never stop, you never stop working. Never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see that you're working, even when I don't feel that you're working, you never stop, you never stop working. Come on, stand with me to sing tonight. Even when I don't see that you're working, even when I don't feel that you're working, you never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. He's waymaker. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. That's who you are. That is 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 who you are. Waymaker. You are waymaker.
Guys, my hope, my prayer for you is no matter where you kind of fall in your journey and wherever you're at in your journey is okay, whether you feel like you're in the middle of that dark valley, that you've never been in that dark valley, or maybe you've come out the other side. I just want to encourage you, and I hope tonight's a reminder that even as you go through things in your life that are difficult, that you can still worship God. That no matter what's going on in your life, that you can still worship God even when it's difficult. I hope you guys have an incredible time in life group tonight, talking about all of this. You guys are dismissed.